Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy, and I've got a video today. I'm going to comment on an article that I read, and it really is, we really have to decide who we're going to listen to and who we're going to believe. And I just want to say before we get into it that I just have a big thank you to everybody in the community out there on my channel that responded to my Charlie Kirk video. I really didn't know how that was going to go. I was counseled to not do it, but I'm glad I did because I think we all got to know each other a little better. And even the people that disagreed with me were so respectful. It just shows the group of people, the community that we have. And many of you are regulars, and there's always new people coming in, but just great people. You know, we're coming from all different angles. We just love our dogs and our cats. That's what brings us together. But there are other things we can discuss, and not on my channel, but with other people and whatever, and learn. Maybe with pet food, we could learn how to be more patient and understanding of the other side, and then we can put that toward religion and politics at some point. But I did want to thank everybody for that, and I think what I'm going to do, I mean, I know my lane, it's nutrition. This channel is nutrition, and I'm not going to go off on any tangents, but I am going to put a video on the end of this after the bumper music or whatever the ending there. If you're done with nutrition, head on your way. Thanks a lot. But if you want to stick around, I wanted to respond to one of the comments that I got about the Charlie Kirk video that I thought was really, really great. So I'm going to do that. But that's only if you want to stay. Otherwise, after you see Pet Food Puzzle Guy, you're out of there. That's fine. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at this video, this article. So I found this article, and it just got me thinking. I'm reading it, and it's from a PhD nutritionist who he's from Kansas State, and his credentials just go on and on and on. I'm going to put it in the description because his bio, if you Google his name, is 53 pages long. The guy is just brilliant. Has been doing research into grains and nutrition and the impact of cooking on nutrition. I mean, all the stuff that we kind of talk about, but he gets to way another level beyond us. But it got me thinking when I read the article, and I'm going to share some of that with you. It really does come down to there's not a whole lot of original thought that comes out of us. I don't mean in a negative way, but our beliefs, whether it's politics, religion, or pet food, it comes from people we listen to, and then we decide, I trust this person, I don't trust that person, and I believe this person, and that person sounds wacky, I'm not going to believe them. We do that really with everything. That's how we build our bias and our belief system to the things that we care about. And when it comes to pet food, to me, it's so crazy that because of the internet age, we now have people, good, caring, pet loving people like you out there that are so confused and anxious over all the information you're getting. And for me, I guess because of my 34 years with Hills, being trained by board certified nutritionists, knowing them personally, seeing endless research and endless studies all over the world, my bias is, you know what, I'm going to listen to these people. It took them about 12 years to get board certified in nutrition, that they know so much. They're working with the top research facilities, doing research. They're all over the world. I mean, there's only 100 board certified nutritionists in the United States, maybe a few more now. There's probably less than 24 that actually work at a pet food company. So there's lots of independent research going on out there. I'm going to listen to those people. But I know as pet parents, you go into PetSmart, you go into Wags and Wash, you go into a feed store, these retailers, they've got their marketing spiel down, and they've got it all figured out, and they've learned from the Ingredientists. Now when it comes to no original thought, I really do believe that I am the one that came up with the term Ingredientists. So after 34 years of my career in the industry, I did something independent. But where nutritionists look at nutrition, look at nutrients being delivered, ingredientists just look at ingredients and demonize them or make them wonderful, and they never look at the nutrition they deliver. So an ingredientist is just lost, has no idea what they're doing versus the nutritionist. So anyway, it really does come down to who are you believing? This is going to be an article. I'm just going to take pieces of it. And if I, as long as I still have it, I'll attach it in the description if you want to read the whole thing. But it's from a man that is definitely credentialed, and I want to know his opinion. Now, I totally agree with his opinion, so it's easy for me. But for those of you on the fence, whatever, you really have to decide, who am I going to trust? The pet store employee that has absolutely no nutritional training, the YouTube influencer that has, oh my goodness, thousands and thousands of people, and she reviews products by reading the ingredient panel, and which is absurd, but that's an ingredientist, or the so-called nutritionist that I just watched one this morning that was reviewing Royal Canin's renal diet, and he just tore it up to shreds because he knows absolutely nothing about how to manage renal disease. He's just looking at ingredient panels, and this is a good ingredient, that's a bad ingredient. Never brought up optimal protein levels, phosphorus levels, additional omega-3s, nothing. Just nonsense. But yet he's a nutritionist, with a certification. So for me, it's simple. I'm listening to the credentialed people, but maybe you're struggling with who do you listen to. Listen to what this guy has to say in this article, and then you just decide. Add it to your, okay, where am I going to be? I think of Dr. Rebecca Remillard, when the internet first came out, and I had a quote from her. It was a slide I used a lot. And she said, now with the internet, people are getting lots of information, but nobody's considering the source. That is so critical. Just because something sounds good, consider the source. Just because you hear something that is revolutionary that you've never heard before, just this one person, consider the source. Or, oh, I just read something and it confirms everything I believe. Well, consider the source, because sometimes you won't want to align up with some groups out there, and it makes you question, wait a minute, what am I believing? So anyway, that's what this article is about, to get you thinking a little bit, especially beyond the box of just the stuff we deal with every day on my channel. Okay, so this article is from October 11th, 2018 by Greg Aldrich, PhD. Definitely, like I said, make sure you got to check this guy out. So what is right about corn in pet diets? And I noticed he said pet diets, not dog diets, so he's including feline in here as well. Corn has many critics, but there are some real positives to this classic pet food ingredient. Now, what I love about this, here's a guy with more credentials, and I couldn't even list them for you. You're listening to him, you're hearing him, you're trying to decide if you want to believe him. You're not trying to decide whether you want to believe the pet food puzzle guy, Glenn, who has no credentials, no PhDs, no degrees in nutrition, all this other stuff, because I just learned from these people. So I want to share these people with you, because you have to decide who you're going to believe. So what does he say? I just love this. We see the headlines oft repeated: no corn, no soy, no wheat. So what is wrong with corn? Nothing really. It simply became a wedge issue when many startup food companies were getting their foot in the door or on the shelf in pet retail during the late 1990s and early 2000s. How can we look different than the rest of the dry foods out there? How do we make ourselves so-called superior or different or unique, so pet parents want to buy our products? That's where the no corn, wheat, or soy came from. Nothing to do with nutrition. As has been described in this column many times, ingredients, this is so good. I know I'm botching this. Let me go back. Ingredients are merely tools in the nutrient delivery toolbox for formulators. I got to say that again because it's so good. Ingredients are merely tools in the nutrient delivery toolbox for formulators. So when they're delivering the optimal nutrient levels based on all the science that's been done all over the world, they're choosing ingredients. That's part of it. Part of that finished product of nutrient delivery is what? The ingredients. Well, then aren't the ingredients right, that ingredients are all that matters? No, because the ingredientists just look at the ingredients and they never look at what he's just saying here. The finished product is, show me the nutrient delivery. Okay, that's what matters. That's all nutrition is: delivering nutrients, not delivering ingredients. Right? Who's the quote from the one nutritionist? What was it, in Illinois? Dogs do not, and cats don't have a requirement for specific ingredients. They have a requirement for specific nutrients. So this is so good. Said another way, here's another way to look at it. Every ingredient has its pluses and minuses. Just look what's happening to peas and potatoes with the U.S. Uh, Food and Drug Administration and their DCM alert. I don't know how I don't even want to go there because that's a whole mess, but I can think of ingredients. There was one just not too long ago where somebody asked me about spinach in a renal diet, and spinach has calcium oxalate in it, so which is very common with renal patients. So why would you use that? Well, I had to call Hills actually to find that out, because I did look it up, and sure enough, yes, spinach has calcium oxalate, but when it's cooked correctly, it's diminished a lot, and the nutrients that are delivered with the spinach are important in the diet. So there's the plus and minus. If you look at omega-6s, which are of course common in any pet food, they're great for skin and coat. They have a lot of great benefits, but omega-6s increase inflammation. So that's where the omega-3 balance comes in. And if you're looking at a truly managing joint health or whatever, you're going to get the threes even higher than the sixes. So are sixes bad? Excuse me. No, sixes aren't bad. That they have a purpose. They have a plus, but they have a negative as well. Does that mean we don't use any omega-6s because they're inflammatory? No, we just have to make sure the other ingredients are working along with that, which again is mainly omega-3s, so that we get a finished product that's optimal. Okay, so there are lots of examples of pluses and minuses within ingredients. Corn is often accused of being a cheap filler. Wow, how often have we heard that? A cheap filler, an allergen, and a source of mycotoxins, along with other nefarious properties. We definitely have heard a lot about cheap filler. That's a big one. Oh, and then dogs and cats being allergic to corn. And of course, aflatoxins are the big one of those toxins that we hear about a lot. And God knows what else. Rather than trying to make an argument that disproves a negative, it might be worthwhile to shift the focus to what corn does right in order to understand where it fits in the array of ingredients at our disposal. So right there, he doesn't want to argue, but rather than get into all these silly things, which you all know are false, hopefully, if you're part of the nutrition mission. If you're new, check out some of my other videos. But again, you can trust this guy before you trust me. What does corn do for pet formulas? To start, one of the most important aspects of any food development is flavor and preference. Now, all this is very new to me, this part, to be honest. I was never into the taste part of it, and this guy tests everything. This might surprise some, but corn is actually preferred over other grains in palatability tests. So much for the idea that our pet carnivores don't like grains. And then he goes on to explain a study where they looked, and corn ranked higher in palatability than wheat, tapioca, potatoes, and chickpeas. So that was interesting. That's something I didn't know. So I cut off the top part of this page, but he's basically saying here that corn provides resistant starch to the diet. This starch resists degradation in the small intestine, primarily due to less cooking. A recent study reported that an extruded diet containing corn with a modest level of resistant starch, 1.46%, had a positive impact on fecal fermentation characteristics in dogs. So we're getting to the GI, gut health, microbiome, right? That kind of stuff. Corn fiber is also a good source of soluble fiber. These are the factors that contribute to good dietary utilization, consistent stools, and overall gut health. Where have you ever heard that from an ingredientist? That there are these are benefits. What I always talk about the big ones, okay? That corn contains a few amino acids that by adding it to the diet with meat, you can reduce the amount of meat, which lowers mineral content. I talk about that all the time. Never talk about this stuff. Didn't know this stuff. I talk about that it's energy. Corn is energy. I don't even think he doesn't even get. This guy is so he doesn't even get into the basic stuff. He gets into stuff that he's studying that nobody even thinks about arguing about. So it's pretty funny. Here's another thing I didn't know. Some of you probably know. Maybe Peter probably knows this. Uh, Corn's color is derived from naturally occurring carotenoids, which of most of which are lutein and zeaxanthin. Good luck with that. 70% of carotenoid content. Uh, each are physiologically relevant antioxidants that have been reported to enhance the immune function in pets. Didn't know that. The quantity in corn is meaningful and bioaccessible in extruded form. Extruded form, but extrusion's bad. It kills all the nutrients. You don't want to feed kibble because it's extruded. Well, when it comes to corn and most carbohydrates, cooking it and cooking it correctly at the right temperature, the right length of time gives you all these benefits. Here's some benefits good old Glenn from the Pet Food Puzzle Guy was not aware of. Do you see just a little hint of this article just shows what the stuff we talk about, which is fine. I mean, it's great. And you throw in, you know, you got Ed always has to throw something in there, and Peter's always going deeper, and that's great. That's super. But when you're talking, if this guy was sitting down with a nutritionist at Hills and maybe a nutritionist from Royal Canin, they'd be at levels and talking about topics that we'd be like, huh, what are you talking about? That's okay. The point is, thank God they're there. That's why they're there. That's why we should be trusting them and not some influencer on the internet. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, he goes on. What about allergic reaction to corn? We hear that all the time on the internet, right? In a recent review of dermatitis case studies, hypersensitivity to corn was no greater than any other grains, seeds, legumes, or tubers. Um, that's interesting. Now, he cites a study from 2016. These studies have been going on forever. Derm experts or the people in this field have been looking at what are the highest allergens out there. It's almost always a protein. Okay, so that's just been true. Beef has always been way up there. Beef and wheat, in my experience of 34 years, beef and wheat always fought for number one and number two. So that hasn't changed. But it's interesting. He says actually the proteins, beef, pork, poultry, are the more provocative as it relates to allergenicity. Okay. That is totally true. As a matter of fact, lamb, he's not giving you a complete list here, and that's fine. But lamb now, ironically, back in the 80s and 90s, lamb and rice was the cure-all for allergies over the counter. And lamb was a novel ingredient for a little while. Now lamb is way up there, right in there with poultry. You would put lamb and pork. Those are the primary allergens that derm experts see and general practitioners see. It's really not from grains. Again, wheat's kind of unique. I don't know what makes wheat unique, to be honest with you. But corn is not high on the allergy list. But yet, if I go to the internet, that's all I hear how bad corn is. And as soon as I got them off corn, all those symptoms went away. Okay, there was something else in that diet, probably a protein source that was causing the problem, not the corn. As for anti-nutritional factors, that's a funny term I've never heard before. Anti-nutritional factors, there are none really identified. That's interesting coming from this guy. Although corn can be susceptible to aflatoxins if the conditions in a region favor mold growth, and that I am well aware of. I've been aware. Anybody in the industry knows about aflatoxins. Uh, there are very sophisticated tests developed to detect this compound, and everyone in pet food is now on high alert should this become an issue due to previous recalls. While there is a problem, it is manageable and nothing inherent in the grain itself. I can tell you, and I knew this from my experience, that manufacturers, before the product even enters their building, whether it's on a railroad car or a truck, whatever, they test for aflatoxins. And if they're there, they just keep on going down the road. So they're not going to allow that into their facility if they're a decent food company. But yet, what do we hear? Toxins from corn, all this other stuff. It's crazy. Processing of corn in extruded foods has been explored in large measure, that's for sure. It is predictable and manageable. Minor differences may occur in cook and density due to region of growth, corn hybrid, moisture, and particle size. The same would probably be true for other starch sources, though none have this body of information to support their use. There is so much information out there showing the benefits of corn, the pluses of corn versus the negatives. But yet, what do you hear? All you hear from the ingredientists is it's a cheap filler, it's not high allergen, it's da 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 da. Do you see that you got to decide who are you going to listen to? Don't listen to me. Don't listen to any YouTuber. Listen to the people that we're, I don't want to say parroting, but I'm sharing my knowledge of what I understand about pet nutrition in my 34 years of seeing in action by people like this. These are the people we all need to be listening to if we're going to try to do the best for our pet and not have anxiety up to here, because every time we get on the internet, we now get confused and we run off in this direction and then we're tossed and we run over in this direction over here. Don't do it. It's nothing but marketing. More positives than negatives, in spite of current consumer reputation. Now, this was in what, 2018. Now we're in 2025. Oh my goodness, this guy, it would really be interesting to interview him and hear what he has to say about the nonsense going on now. In the end, corn has many positive attributes that one could use to their advantage in a pet food. Despite the critics of this ingredient, it has a great deal more research, quality standards, and track record for safe, effective use. Amen. That's all I'm saying. I'm sorry. I think it's pretty simple when it comes to pet food. The people that have the PhDs and have the research and have the facilities to do all these studies and have peer reviewed studies, tons of them out there, and are producing the results that had the privilege of seeing every day in vet clinics for 34 years. I'm trusting those people. I'm sorry. I'm not trusting somebody, that gets online and looks at a bag of food and reads an ingredient panel. Well, I don't like that I see that, and I don't like that, because I'm a pet nutritionist. I have a certificate. Sorry, I'm trying to be respectful, right? So that was bad, but I'm not cutting it out. You have to decide who you're going to believe. So there you go. That concludes the pet nutrition portion of this video. I hope, again, just try to take it all in. Consider the source of the information. Try to make your best decision, your best choices. I'm here. Dr. Ray is here. There's a few other folks out there. I don't have all the answers. That's for sure. I'm learning every time I look into something, but I know I'm going to learn from the people that I trust versus the people that have proven to be wrong. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So anyway, thanks for listening. I think I'm going to stay on after the bumper music here. In case you want to stick around, somebody sent a really great comment about the Charlie Kirk video, and I want to respond to that. So I'm going to do that on here. If that is not your thing, you should exit the building now. And again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, so enough about pet food. I wanted to read a comment. I did get a lot of great comments from the video about Charlie Kirk, and I appreciate every one of them. This one just really encapsulates so much stuff. So I want to read it and just kind of respond going through it. I think that's the quickest way to do this. And again, if this isn't your thing, hey, catch me on the next video. Another one will be coming in a couple days, hopefully. But I did want to share this. So and please respond any way you want. It says, thanks for your opinion. I really like your channel and will continue to watch. Thank you. I appreciate that. I am a liberal, Catholic, a woman, and also gay, a veteran, and have a wonderful, loving family, including dogs. Now, why I appreciate that is because I'm one of those typical people that, you just kind of, if you know a few things about me, you could just assume all the rest, and I click all the boxes. That I'm just a, very a stereotype person. It's, kind of medium and moderate, and that's just kind of where I am. Nothing fancy. nothing unique as far as the stereotypes. But this person or this woman is just all over the place as far as she doesn't check any particular boxes or stereotype, which I think is great. I liked your story, and I'm glad you found your purpose through God. I am a liberal because I believe in helping my fellow man, especially those less fortunate. I love my country as much as you do, but I do believe in the separation of church and state. I'll stop there. Well, first of all, I believe in the separation of church and state too. I mean, it was a letter that Thomas Jefferson sent to, what was it, the Southern Baptist Convention or some church group who was worried that the government was going to take over a religion like they did in Great Britain, and we had escaped from that, so they sure didn't want to get back to that. So what Jefferson was really saying is religion is protected. The government is not going to infringe on religion, not the other way around. Obviously, Christians were part of making the Declaration of Independence, mentioning God and how our rights come from God. And so I too believe in the separation of church and state. That does not mean that religious people are excluded from voting, excluding from impacting the culture that we live in. And I think years ago, and this goes back to her, saying, "Well, I'm a liberal because I believe in helping my fellow man, especially those less fortunate." Well, that is a very, very Christian thing. Now, I just read today that the Pope, and this was on internet, so I'm pretty sure the source was good here, though. But that the Pope was saying it's not Christian to be against illegal immigration. In other words, just let them in. We should just love thy neighbor, take care of the less fortunate, all that kind of thing. Not even giving any regard to what's the financial impact of that, the crime impact, everything else. And it's funny, I've been to the Vatican City, and the Vatican is in a wall. It's a walled-in city that you can't get in without special permission. So it's kind of ironic coming from the Pope. But my point, I didn't want to really go in that direction, but I'm a liberal because I believe in helping my fellow man, especially those less fortunate. That is a Christian ethic. That is, it's all through the Bible. Christians do it all the time. Churches, the charities in America are amazing. It doesn't matter even what denomination, whether it's Catholic, Mormon, Protestant, whatever. All these religious organizations devote tons of money and time to charity. So you don't have to be a liberal to want all that. Now, again, a conservative would say, well, wait a minute, you have to have a sovereign nation. You have to have a secure border. Every other civilized country in the world does. So we should, for all those reasons. And protecting our family is a religious ethic as well, a Christian one. And that comes back to the fact we want to make sure that people coming in are safe and belong here, and that we're not just a country full of criminals from Venezuela or somewhere else. So you don't have to be a liberal to worry about the less fortunate. We all should be doing that. And I know there's plenty of moral people that give and have charities and everything that aren't Christian. That's just like her. So let's see, what else? I didn't know much about Charlie Kirk before he was killed, which is a terrible thing. I have since researched him and came to understand that he did say many divisive things about women, gays, trans, blacks, and immigrants. So I do not feel he is the hero as you believe. When it comes to research, I think the only thing I would say that I'm seeing very common is people have opinions about Charlie Kirk because they've researched him listening to the comments of other people. And we're all guilty of this. We all do it. But I would challenge, this person. I'll let them know that I attached it to a video rather than writing it on the comments. But I would challenge everybody, not challenge, invite them to go and watch some of his debates. Watch him deal with, especially college kids. I mean, that's a tough thing to do because they're so arrogant and they're so they have no idea of reality. I mean, I would never be able to do Charlie Kirk's what he did. But to listen to him, I thought I knew a lot about him because I'm a fan. I watch a lot of his videos. I had no idea. I just watched a video the other day. He was being interviewed by somebody. I think it was a Christian station or whatever. And they were challenging him because, as a Christian, why does he have gays on his staff at Turning Point? And to be honest, I was a little surprised. I didn't think, I thought being Turning Point, being so conservative and Christian and all that, I just thought two things. One, they would try to keep gays out because they're just trying to keep people that are like-minded like them. And the other is that gays who would want to go work for a guy like Charlie Kirk if he was anti-gay? So right there, that was something new that I thought I knew the guy, and that was pretty impressive. And so when people say, that he hated gays, I don't know. That doesn't fit the more I'm learning about him, plus the things I've heard him say. I've seen him be so respectful to trans kids, and showing a lot of empathy with what they're struggling with, not being judgmental. As far as women, now, yes, he does like the traditional roles of men and women, but he did not marry a woman that turned out to be, barefoot and pregnant and home with the kids. I mean, one, she's 5 years older than him, has many more degrees. He doesn't have any degrees. She's got numerous degrees. She's started a not-for-profit company. I mean, she's taking over Turning Point, and I can see she's going to do a great job. So a guy that really kind of thinks of women as second class and put them in their place doesn't go and marry a woman like this. And I don't think a woman like her would put up with a guy that thought that way. So again, I'm just kind of, you really need to go and listen to him. Blacks as well. I have seen him just be, and some of the speakers that have sat in that canopy with him on the debates, Candace Owens. There's a few other black folks, a few gentlemen. I can't think of their names, but so I don't know. I think we're all guilty sometimes of getting an opinion of somebody based on what other people told us about that guy, and to listen to him is really pretty impressive. So I would invite her and everybody else to do that. Let's see. What really concerns me is how his death has been weaponized to make people believe there's an entire half of the political spectrum, left wing, is responsible for it. A sixth individual did that, and the same could be said for the shooting that just happened in the Michigan Mormon church. The shooter was MAGA, but that is not being publicized on Fox News as it doesn't fit with the narrative Trump wants. Okay, let's go back. I don't believe that people like me are saying that half of the country, the left wing, is responsible for Charlie's assassination. What we are saying, though, is the left wing, the political party, the influencers, the big money, the people that are controlling things. Clearly, the fact that we are all called Nazis and fascists, not just the Republican leaders, but even the people that vote for them, like me, that's what we are. And we're all this hate-filled stuff and everything else. That political party, the Democrats, have done that consistently. Now, is Trump rude and obnoxious and name calling and just so unpresidential at times? Absolutely. I mean, I'm okay with it because I'm so tired at the age of almost 66, my whole life of watching polite politicians that say the right things and dress up nice and talk to me, as if they really care about me, and they screwed me and my family and my country for decades. So somebody just wants to be rude and call people out, I'm okay with it. I'd like for him to be a little more presidential, but I'm still okay with the way he is. But the stuff he says, the names he gives everybody, he is not saying these people are Nazis and these people are fascists. Now, he does say they're going to destroy the economy, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. That's different than when you keep saying how he's a threat to democracy, all this other stuff. And it's not the average Democrat. I know that. So when I say left wing, I'm sure this lovely lady is not part of that left wing. That left wing is not the liberals that just want to maybe do things a little different than me. That debate will go on forever, and that's fine. We can agree to disagree on that. I'm talking about the leadership, the people that are saying, hey, let's just keep this going, that they're Nazis, that they're fascists. And young men today, because they have no moral compass anymore, they're demoralized, they can't find work, they're not getting married, video games has control of them, all that other stuff. It's so easy for them to become radicalized and do the stuff they did. And that's what we've seen a few times now. It doesn't mean it's epidemic, but we're seeing it a lot. Now, the MAGA guy with the Mormon church, you got to be careful here. You can't always just, they're either a left or they're right. Okay. The guy with the Mormon church, he hated Mormons. Okay. He had a personal issue, a history with the LDS church and with his ex-wife who was LDS. And um, so you can't, whether he had a MAGA hat on or a Harris hat on, that had nothing to do with politics. That was a personal situation with a church or a group of people. You could call it anti-Christian. Now, Mormonism is not Christianity. Sorry, but if you want to just say religious people are being persecuted, you can say that. But that's not a MAGA thing. You just can't go there. That's different. So I could be wrong about the thing that the left is not just trying to incite violence, but it sure seems we see a lot more violence coming from people that call themselves left or even liberal. I'm sure this woman would never do violence, but the burning cars and all that kind of stuff, and now protesting ICE with all that. You don't find conservatives, we're not very good at that. When Charlie was killed, what people had prayer vigils, and we cried. We're not very good at being loud and obnoxious like we sometimes should be. So anyway, enough about that. It doesn't fit the narrative of Fox. I I do watch Fox. I like a lot of the commentators on Fox, especially in the evening. But the best thing to do, and she says this later, so I'll just say it now, is I like watching when an event happens. I'll watch CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. And the best way to help your psyche is to listen to all three, how they respond to a certain thing, and then you can kind of see, okay, who's really telling me something that's most accurate. They're all biased, of course they are. Nothing wrong with that. We all have our slant. But am I blinding myself with that bias, or can I look at it? And looking at all three is a good way to do that. So if you're stuck on just using CNN, especially if you're just watching MSNBC, you've got to balance that with Fox just so you can see there's two different perspectives, just like I do with pet food, right? Okay, let me keep going here. Bottom line is we cannot demonize entire groups of people. And I find it very scary and disconcerting that our current president foments this at every turn, turning Americans against each other and inciting hate and name calling. Well, I've already said he does the name calling. I don't know that he incites hate, but I think turning Americans against each other, I think what he's doing is pointing out what the Democratic Party is doing. And these are divisive issues. I mean, it shouldn't be. Boys playing, boys playing on girls' sports, that should not be a divisive issue. Mutilating little kids because they're confused whether they're boys or girls. I can't believe that's an issue. Okay, I don't know where she stands on that, but I find that pretty bad. Okay, pretty demonic actually. Sure, we're gonna disagree on things like abortion. That'll go on forever. There'll be all kinds of things, but I think what the demonization is, at least from my side, from the right, if you want to call us that, is we're demonizing the leaders that are coming up with these policies. Open borders for 4 years. What a horrible, that's treasonous. That really is treasonous. You don't do that, and now we're reaping the benefit, or the benefit, reaping uh, the cost of that. And so, yeah, Trump is not perfect, but most of his policies, I think, are trying to fix the things that have been screwed up for a long time. Um, let's see. So yeah, I mean, you can blame Trump for trying to fix things, I guess, but you know, I don't know. These are divisive issues that no president is going to be able to solve or make everybody happy. We just have to try to. I'd like for him to be more respectful and more presidential. I would, but I tell you what, I'll take him any day over the things Biden did. The open borders and Afghanistan, the withdrawal from Afghanistan, again, treasonous, absolutely treasonous. But nobody cared. Now they care what Trump does. Okay. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Our president could have unified Americans during his speech at the vigil, but instead just incited more hate, exclusion versus inclusion, us versus them. And I'm afraid it will get worse as time goes on. Um, I agree. I would have liked to have Erica last. I think she was amazing, um, and I would have kept it non-political. I think maybe Charlie would have had mixed emotions about having the message out there because that was his big message. But yeah, I would have liked to have kept it more spiritual and uplifting. And yeah, he could. I guess it was an opportunity to unify. Maybe I guess I could see that. But again, what happened right after Charlie was killed? Day after, the Democratic Party, not the average Democrats, back to their Nazis, they're fascists, they're trying to destroy democracy. There won't be an election in 3 years, all that kind of stuff. Which again, nothing wrong with saying that, right? We all say all kinds of stuff about each other. But in this day and age, what it's doing, it's getting into young men's minds, and they decide they're going to be a patriot and they're going to save the democracy. They're going to be a hero, and they go and take out somebody. That's all I'm saying. Not saying that liberals are responsible, but I just wish they would stop calling those of us, whatever you want to call us, the right, Nazis and fascists. But that's that's where we are now. I'm almost done. If you're still with me, I am sorry that it seems you're getting all your info now about trans filtered from the right wing echo chambers like Fox News. I already explained I like watching Fox and the other two. I will say though, YouTube, I've really discovered some of the podcasts and stuff out there, just individuals that are talking and doing interviews and stuff. I probably get more insight into what my opinion is from that than I do just watching the news on Fox or another station. So again, if you're not doing that, there's a whole world. Now, again, you have to consider who these people are. Most of it's opinion based, so it's really just a matter of who's saying things that make sense. But I would definitely encourage you. I mean, Megyn Kelly is just awesome. I love her. There's a few others, but there's only one that comes. There's the one gentleman, again, talk about gay, the one guy that was liberal and became Rubin, something Rubin. I can't think of his first name. Just the other day, I found out that he has a husband, that he's gay. I had no idea. I mean, the guy went from liberal to conservative. He's brilliant. He's just an individual with a great mind and independent thinking. He's gay. You know what? That's his. He can be whatever he wants. Okay, but I agree totally with the things he's saying. That's going to make America better and stronger. And so that just came to mind. That's and he's on the right, and he was a big Charlie Kirk supporter. So I don't see this gay bashing thing like our friend here is saying. Um, I encourage you to do your own research on these issues, just like you have taught me to research pet food with an unbiased opinion. I appreciate that. And yeah, we all need to do that. I think that's a great idea. And that's why I would say Charlie Kirk as an individual, we make a big deal. He's definitely up on a pedestal, but he was one of the few, if not the only person that would actually sit down with both sides with a crowd sometimes cheering, sometimes screaming, whatever, and talk one-on-one with people that totally disagreed with him. And he did it so great, and that's why it's such a loss to have lost him. So that's why he's bigger than life right now. I will continue to watch your channel as I do believe you are very informative. That's good. But please know your subscribers that are Democrats are not demons, but good people too. We all want better life. Thanks. Or we all want a better life. Thanks. Great way to end a great comment there. I'm sure I have subscribers that are Democrats. Now, most of my subscribers are older. My age, I mean, I think 24% are over 65. So for all of us oldies, and we tend to be the conservatives and the Republicans. Not all, I'm sure there's some of you that are liberals, but I am not calling you, if you watch my video, I'm not calling every Democrat a demon. The policies, some of the policies that they are pushing, that the leadership I do believe is straight out of hell. I mean, it's about as bad as we could get. Like I mentioned in my video, my family was split Democrat and Republican when I was a kid, and I'd watch the arguments and all. And I loved it. Italian Northeast family. Um, the things they argued over was nothing like the stuff today. This is just insane, absolutely insane. So anyway, um, they're good people. I'm sure they are, and we all want a better life. We sure do. So I'm going to end this now. But again, I don't know that I'll continue to do this. We'll see. But I think I felt a lot closer to a lot of my subscribers having made that video. And there is more to life than just pet food, but we all do want a better life. Let's figure out how to talk to each other. Maybe the pet food uh, topic is a good one to start with. And then you can go on and talk politics and religion once you're better at being patient and understanding and actually listening to the other person and what they have to say, right? Make sense? Anyway, thanks, y'all, and we'll catch you on the next video.